It was early morning. The room was still. Only soft sunlight slipped through the curtains and rested on my grandmother's hands gripping the edge of her bed. She had just sat up, not because she felt rested, but because something felt off. Her head tilted slightly. Her fingers reached for the blanket. Her eyes stayed closed. Oh dear, why is everything spinning? I rushed to her side. She smiled gently, brushed it off. Nothing serious, she whispered. Probably just got up too fast. But then, it happened again. The next morning, and the one after that. She always went to bed early. No sleeping pills, no nightmares. She said she slept well, always had. And for over 20 years, she never used a pillow. Sleeping flat keeps my neck straight, she used to say. Better blood flow, you know. I believed her until I saw it. Each time she sat up, her body paused, her world tilted. Not enough to fall, but enough to see something flicker behind her eyes. Fear, before she smiled it away. That's when I began to wonder, could it be that the habit we always thought was healthy, sleeping without a pillow, was quietly sending blood to her head, throwing off her balance and making her feel dizzy every single morning, without anyone noticing? I remember the first time I asked my grandmother, "Grandma, why don't you use a pillow?" She smiled, brushed a silver strand of hair behind her ear, and said so simply, "Sleeping flat is more natural, sweetheart. When your head and back are in line, blood flows better." It wasn't laziness, it wasn't an oversight. It was something she believed in, something her generation had heard over and over again. No pillow meant no cricked neck, no stiff shoulders, no awkward bends. It sounded right, it felt right. But what none of us realized was that this harmless little habit was quietly tipping her world off balance. Night after night, she sleeps on her back, no pillow, her head resting flat, sometimes even lower than her chest. And that, it turns out, makes a big difference. Why? Because gravity keeps blood flowing downward toward the brain all night long. She sleeps peacefully. But the moment she opens her eyes and sits up, everything spins. Dizziness, lightheadedness, like standing on a bridge that won't stop swaying. At first, we thought it was low blood pressure, then maybe anemia. Then we simply blamed it on getting older. But after a quiet visit to a geriatric neurologist, we heard something that stopped us in our tracks. When older adults sleep without a pillow, the head stays level with or below the heart. This can increase blood pooling in the upper body and disrupt circulation to the brain. That subtle imbalance affects the vestibular system, the part of the inner ear responsible for balance, leading to dizziness, especially upon waking. I sat there quietly, replaying every morning I'd seen her wobble at the edge of the bed, clutching the blanket, waiting for the spinning to stop. And suddenly, it all made sense. A pillow wasn't just about comfort, it was about balance. It was the bridge between a restful night and a steady morning. We spend so much time looking for complicated answers, new medications, new diagnoses, new fears. But sometimes, the solution is simple, so simple we miss it completely. My grandmother still believed that sleeping flat was better. "That's how we always did it," she'd say. Not because she was stubborn, but because she truly thought it was the right thing to do. And that was the part that shook me most. She wasn't doing anything wrong. She was doing something she thought was helping her. I didn't start with advice, no long explanations about blood flow or the vestibular system. I just watched. Every night, Grandma went to bed at the same hour. Same room, same rhythm, the soft golden lamp. Her old wooden bed, a worn wool blanket, and neatly pressed sheets. She laid down always on her back, not curled, not tilted, and like I'd quietly noticed for years with nothing under her head. No pillow, no folded towel, just the mattress, and her silver hair brushing softly against the sheet. Her neck stayed level with her spine, sometimes even lower, and that meant one quiet, important thing. Her head was resting just below her heart. One evening, I gently said, "Grandma, maybe we could try a soft towel under your head tonight. Just a little lift might help with the dizziness in the morning." She smiled kindly. "Oh no, dear. I'm used to it this way. Pillows always make my neck ache." And that was that. I didn't press, because with elders, I've learned it's not always resistance, it's comfort. They've lived long enough to trust what feels familiar more than what sounds logical. So I waited. That night, after she'd drifted off to sleep, I tiptoed in, folded a towel soft, not thick, maybe 3/4 of an inch, just enough. I slipped it gently beneath the base of her head, right at the neck, just enough to lift her, to bring her head level with her heart. That's all, no more. Then I stepped back and watched her breathe. The room felt still, like winter air. No more words were needed. The next morning, she walked out of her room with a puzzled look. No hand on the wall, no tilt of the head, just slow, steady steps. She sat down, looked at me, then chuckled softly. My head felt lighter today, no spinning at all. Isn't that strange? I didn't say anything, just poured her tea. Part of me wanted to explain the towel, the angle, the science, but something told me she didn't need that. She already felt the difference. 2 days later, she asked, "Do we still have that towel from the other night? I slept better with it." "You didn't do anything funny, did you?" I smiled, pulled the towel from the drawer, placed it gently on her bed, this time before she lay down. Since then, she hasn't mentioned the spinning. She doesn't grip the headboard when she wakes, doesn't sit at the edge of the bed, waiting for the room to settle. No medicine, no special equipment, just a soft towel and a little patience. Because sometimes, the people we love don't need our lectures. They just need us to pay attention, to listen with our eyes, and offer change in the quietest way. And sometimes just one small shift, like gently lifting the head, can change the way someone starts their day. Some changes don't need grand announcements. They don't require new routines or expensive equipment. They simply arrive quietly and work. Just like that morning, my grandmother didn't sit at the edge of the bed, waiting for the spinning to stop. She didn't pause to catch her breath, didn't reach for the wall. She walked straight to the table, carrying her cup of tea, smiling gently. And in that quiet, ordinary moment, I knew something had worked. That evening, I told her about the small folded towel I had placed behind her neck, only about 1.5 inches high, just enough to lift her head, to bring it level with her heart. She looked surprised, then she smiled. Just that little thing made all the difference. Yes, just that. From there, I began to dig deeper, not just to feel reassured, but to understand. Why had something so small helped so much? A geriatric neurologist explained it simply. In people over 70, blood circulation becomes less adaptable. When someone lies flat with their head lower than their heart, blood can pool toward the brain. This puts pressure on the vestibular system, the part of the inner ear that controls balance. That's why older adults often feel dizzy or disoriented when they first wake up. That was exactly what my grandmother had been feeling, and I'd assumed it was just age. Turns out it was positioning. So how do you help gently without discomfort, without resistance? It comes down to 3 simple principles. 1. Just enough height, a pillow that understands. Forget big fluffy pillows. You don't need to prop up the head like it's watching TV. What you need is something soft, something low, about 1 to 2 inches thick. Not enough to bend the neck, just enough to bring the head level with, or just above the heart. No fancy product needed. I used a bath towel folded in half, slipped beneath her neck. It worked because it was simple, soft, and in the right place. 2. Material matters more than brand. You don't need memory foam or cooling gels. In fact, those are often too dense or too high. What matters more gentleness? A cotton cover with soft fill, a cushion that lifts without pushing, and supports without sinking, something the body doesn't need to fight. 3. For side sleepers, align the head, neck, and shoulder. If your loved one sleeps on their side, you'll need a little more height. Why? Because the shoulder creates distance between the bed and the neck. To stay aligned, the pillow should support the head and upper shoulder. The spine should form a soft, straight line, and the neck shouldn't bend downward. How try a slightly thicker pillow, about 3 to 4 inches, if they have broad shoulders. If it's not quite enough, add a folded towel underneath. And here's what matters most. How does it feel? After adjusting the setup, have your loved one lie down for a few minutes. Then gently ask, does your neck feel strained? Is your head too low or too high? Are you breathing comfortably? If the answers are good, you're there. If not, tweak it. Add or remove a layer. Shift the towel. Try again. And one more thing I've learned, don't insist. Let them feel the difference. Just like I did with Grandma, try it for one night, quietly. No convincing, no pressure. Let their body tell them the truth. In the morning, a dizziness-free morning isn't out of reach. It doesn't take a special mattress or expensive solutions. Sometimes it just takes a towel, and then a little curiosity, and then someone who cares enough to try, because when we sleep well, we heal. When we wake without spinning, we start the day stronger. And all of that can begin tonight. There was no alarm, no calls for help, no groaning at the edge of the bed, just a quiet morning. The sky was still gray, sunlight hadn't yet touched the porch, and my grandmother, she walked out of her room and poured herself a warm cup of tea. No hands on the table for balance, no cautious steps, no gentle shake of her head like every other day. Just a soft smile, the kind that says more than words ever could. I didn't have to ask. I didn't need to check. I knew, because I saw it. A small change, placing the right pillow in the right spot, had quietly transformed the way she woke up. That morning, I sat across from her. The room was still, the only sound tea being poured. She took a slow sip, then looked up and said, I slept so well last night, sweetie. Woke up and my head felt still, not spinning at all. I didn't say anything, just smiled, because she felt it, finally. And I thought to myself, maybe it really is just one pillow. But when placed just right, it's no longer just a pillow. It becomes a bridge between steady blood flow and a clear mind, between quiet dizziness and quiet strength. So tonight, if someone you love still sleeps without a pillow, or with one that's too high, too soft, too worn, try this folded towel, softly. Place it beneath the back of their neck, just enough to lift the head in line with the heart. 1 to 2 inches is enough, not too much, not too little. And then let tomorrow speak for itself, because you might just be giving them a morning without dizziness, a body that no longer clings to the walls for balance, a quiet return to ease, not through medication, not through big change, but through a simple morning and a peaceful start. If this story felt familiar to you, if it reminded you of someone you love, and you'd like to hear more quiet little stories like this about sleep, about the way our elders rest without us noticing, about the small things that matter deeply, hit the subscribe button so each week you'll get a new reminder that sometimes caring doesn't require anything big, just a folded towel, a soft pillow, and the quiet hope for a better morning.